Well, then we'll get started. So, as Vice President for Enrollment Marketing and Communications, what do you think was the biggest accomplishment of the 2007 to 2012 strategic plan?
It's a good question, a hard question, because I think there were so many accomplishments. As you know, we had 4 goals, but we were tracking over 100 metrics, and there was a lot done under that plan. From my point of view, given my role in both enrollment and marketing, I think the branding work that we did that really was in conjunction with developing that strategic plan was very important, and it's really helped us on the enrollment side. Uh, Being able to meet some of our goals or come close to meeting some very ambitious goals, looking at the quality of students, looking at diversity of students, I think that was a major accomplishment.
Okay. Do you know which 6 of the 104 outcomes we won't be meeting and why that happened?
That I don't have at the top of my head. Some of the goals I know I can point to at least one that I know that we're not going to meet, and that is the goal of having 80% of the freshman class have the academic honors diploma. When we set that goal, it was a very ambitious goal. Um, we knew it was ambitious. We were, I think, optimistic, perhaps a little overly optimistic. At that point, we were starting from a baseline of under 50%. We're now over 62%, given the fact that only a little over 30% of Indiana high school students graduate with the honors diploma. It's a pretty tough goal to meet, but I think it was an important goal to set. And frankly, I expect this to be a goal that we're going to roll over to the next plan and keep trying to address it.
Okay. One of the plan's goals focused on campus beautification. Why do you think campus beautification is so important?
Well, again, from both the marketing and enrollment perspective, I think it does a lot to help us attract bright, talented students. One of the things that we hear just constantly, we have a very deliberate and very high volume campus visit program. We have over 15,000 people come through that program each year. One of the things we hear consistently from people, what a beautiful campus, what a well-maintained campus. But it's more than just kind of the obvious physical beauty things. It's that sense that the campus gives to people of the kind of community we are. So when they see that it's well taken care of, that speaks to the values of the people who are here. When they see it's clean, when they see it's neat, when they see people interacting. I had a colleague visit me several years ago, and his comment was, "This is a really heads-up place." And I'm like, "Heads up? What do you mean by that?" He says, "A lot of campuses," he's in a marketing area, he says, "A lot of campuses I visit, when you walk the campus, people are looking down at your feet. Here people are looking up, people engage on the sidewalk, they interact, and that really sets a tone." So it's not just the fact that it's physically beautiful, it's what that says about the kind of vibrant community that we are.
Do you have any numbers as far as enrollment goes that would show a direct effect between the construction efforts and enrollment?
Nothing that I can tie directly back to the effect of construction, but we have seen significant increases in applications over the past 5 years during the time of the last strategic plan. And certainly the look and feel of the campus has helped contribute to that. But I think it's also the way that we talk about it, that we present it. When you look at the marketing and recruitment materials we put together, one of the things that we feel very strongly as part of our brand identity is to have very strong photography. Mm-hmm. So very vivid images of what a beautiful campus it is. I think that helps convey that.
Okay. So I understand there's a new strategic plan now. It's 2012 to 2017, and you're actually on the task force. So as a member of the task force, what do you do?
We've been meeting for some time now. We've done a variety of things to really go through the process, and we're still in the process of developing the final plan. Hope to have it finished by the end of the semester. But we've went back to look to see what we did and what we didn't accomplish during the last plan. Kind of determine what are some of the things that we feel are important to carry forward, some of the goals, some of the objectives, and some of the specific indicators, performance indicators. We also did a lot of conversations with a variety of constituents. We had a number, I think it was over 20 stakeholder meetings where we met with faculty, staff, students, alumni, community leaders, high school guidance counselors, trying to get a sense from them of what they thought from the last plan worked, what they thought didn't work, what things they thought were important for us to focus on moving forward. And so we had, it was, last time I looked at the numbers, it was over 450 people participated in those intake sessions, and that was very helpful for the committee to kind of look at the sense of direction, both how far we've come, but where we want to keep going. Mm-hmm. So we've been meeting to really refine a new set of goals, in some ways similar, but a little different from the last set of goals, then get down to the next level of specific objectives. We're now in the process of really trying to pin down the performance indicators. So you can have kind of broad concepts about what you want the institution to be and some of the things they want to achieve, but you really have to start getting down to where the rubber hits the road and say, here are the things we're going to measure and hold ourselves accountable to.
Okay. How are these people chosen, and how often do you guys meet?
The task force was established back last February. It was established through conversations at the senior leadership level. We wanted to have broad representation, so there are students, graduate student on the committee, faculty, staff, and then many members of the administration as well.
Okay, and that was February 2011?
2011.
Okay. So how does the new strategic plan differ from the last one?
I think in some ways, I would say it's a continuation of the last one. I think there are some tweaks and refinement. Some of the key things that we looked at in the last time, as you mentioned, talking about a vibrant campus. Well, that's still going to be a part of what we focus on now. Some of that is about the physical structure, the infrastructure, not just what you see, but some of the things you don't see. Geothermal is a good example of that. But we're also, I think, in this plan, a little more explicit about talking about the community from the point of view of all of the members, including the working members of the community. So we want to be sure that this is a place where people want to work, live, and learn. And I think we're a little more explicit in this plan about that. We talked in the last plan about having an impact in broad economic development terms. I think we're a little more focused in this, talking about really wanting to prioritize an impact on the state of Indiana as well as local communities within the state. So while we certainly feel it's important and wherever we can to have an impact nationally or globally, and that's, there's always going to be that international component to what we do, we're especially interested in focusing on the things that we can do that makes a difference within the state.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that there's an academic shift from the last plan to the new plan?
Not really. Again, an emphasis on attracting bright, talented students. We'll continue to try to attract the best and most talented students, but also the best and most talented faculty. Immersive learning is still going to be at the core of what we're doing. I think we're talking a little bit about taking that and really taking that to the next level. And so it's not just thinking about how we execute immersive learning, but also what we can learn from immersive learning. So looking at the research component around immersive learning. How does immersive learning work? How does it benefit students? How does it benefit faculty? How does it address different learning styles? There's some language in the new plan that really talks about focusing on educational innovation, and I think that's something that's going to be very important moving forward. I don't see that as different than the last plan, but I think it's a little more focused and a little more targeted.
Okay. And how will marketing change under the new plan? What will happen to Education Redefined? Will that still be?
We have redefined education, and that's kind of an ongoing process. I don't envision that we're going to be moving to a different marketing position. The brand is something that we've worked hard to establish. And I think we'll be continuing to talk about Ball State Education Redefined. There will be tweaks, obviously, in some of the messaging and some of the execution, but the fundamental approach to the marketing is going to be very similar.
Okay. So I know I kind of asked this similarly, but I'm going to phrase it differently. Can you summarize for me the main difference between the new plan and the old plan, what you think?
I think the main difference between the plan that we're working on now and the last plan is that this will be in some ways even more focused. I think we will be building on success that we had in the last plan, but taking it and being even more strategic in the way we focus some of our energies and some of our attention, and that will lead to perhaps some slightly different performance indicators.
Okay, and what do you mean by performance indicators?
When we get down to the measures that we track to see how well we're doing, setting very specific goals. So we can have a broad conceptual goal of helping Indiana communities. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, one of the ways we may look at that is to say we're going to set some specific goals for the Building Better Communities initiative to work with X number of communities on specific projects or specific kinds of projects. And I think in that process we'll become perhaps even more focused and strategically focused than we were in the last plan.
Okay. My last question is, will there be any, as far as you know, new organizations, I guess I would say, that come out of this plan, like Ball State Bold, for example? Will you guys keep that, or will you introduce something new?
Good question. The capital campaign really was, the Ball State Bold capital campaign was something that grew out of the last strategic plan. We're probably a couple of years off from launching the next strategic capital campaign. We may have some bridge, what they sometimes refer to as bridge campaigns, moving towards that. You know, you kind of have to give people a chance to catch their breath before they give us all their money. Just kidding. Catch their breath a little bit in terms of fundraising. But we'll be pursuing similar kinds of goals in that process.
Okay. And Bold was, is that just alumni? Or is
No,
it...
Bold was part of a broad capital campaign. It was over $200 million, and we exceeded our goal, which was one of the performance indicators that we feel very good about because we exceeded it by more than $11 million. But that was a really comprehensive fundraising campaign. And so sometime in the course of this next strategic plan, we'll launch another one. We're not yet ready to lay out exactly what that will be or how that's going to work. Okay. I think one of the things in this new strategic plan that we're really focusing on as well is not just setting of the goals, but being sure that we're being very strategic and very accountable and looking at the implementation part of it. So we can identify initiatives, but we want to be sure that they're being executed well, and that there's transparency about that. So I think that's something that's going to be very much a focus in the next 5 years. You asked about possibly new structures. I think I would say that everything is potentially on the table. So again, I think one of the things that we really want to look at is when you look at the way we're structured administratively, or the way we're structured academically, are these the ways that make most sense? You know, one of the things as we've finished up this last plan, we did some changes to the structure of tuition that allows students to combine online and campus face-to-face courses. In the past, those were kind of built separately, and we did some restructuring there because we felt like this really would make a difference to students being able to meet their educational objectives, really facilitate them, particularly if they wanted to graduate in 4 years, being able to. Those are the kinds of things that we're going to keep looking at as we move forward. Are there structural changes that we can make that improve the efficiency of the institution and improve our effectiveness?
Okay. Did you have any questions that you thought of while we were talking? No? I think we have
Enough to work with?
everything we need. Yeah. Good. Thank you very much.